All right, kids, welcome. Welcome. Colin McGovern, part of the Century Twin onboarding team. Marilyn Hawley, my teammate. Rhonda Woods, one of our superstar teammates, growth consultant in the Northeast. I don't know if we have any other teammates on, but we'll get started here. So we are talking about Moxie Present today. If you have been with Century Twin for any amount of time over the last handful of years, and one of the things the brand has constantly done over the years I've been with Century 21 is to deliver extraordinary experiences to our affiliates, you, so that you can do that for your clients. And the other part of it is that as part of that effort to constantly improve, we've heard from you, our affiliates, your peers, that while we have great tools and systems and resources, sometimes it can be frustrating because they're in different places. Maybe they're disconnected because they're not even part of the same company. For example, maybe if we have Business Builder and we have Zap, those are both wonderful CRM systems, but they never talk to each other. And we kept thinking about ways so that we could get them connected. And then we had our toolkit CMA listing presentations, which are beautiful, but they were not connected in any way to the others or any other system. And so when it was announced that our parent company connected with Moxie Works so that we could provide you the Moxie Works resources as part of your affiliation with Century 21, that was a wonderful day for me. I'm sure it was for a lot of other folks too. And when I say part of your affiliation with Century 21, it doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost you anything extra to use. We're trying to pack additional value into the Century 21 franchise fees that you pay. We're trying to pack as much value because the more you sell, the more opportunities you have. It just really helps you grow your business. And so today we're going to talk about Moxie Present. Again, integrated with the other tools, Moxie Engage as an example. When you're in Moxie Engage and you put a client into a prospect status and then into an active status, those statuses underneath the activities will give you a link that says, hey, if this person becomes an active buyer or an active seller, then it links, it gives you one of the activities, literally gives you a click, and you can link back to Moxie Present so you can create a buyer presentation, a buyer tour, or a listing presentation. So it's all harmonized. Okay, Marilyn, you able to hear me okay? Michael said he can't hear me.
No, I can hear you, yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let's jump into Moxie in Present today. Marilyn and I have been working on different platforms today, so we kind of got them all rolled together this week. Okay, so your dashboard's going to come up, and this is how you build a presentation. I am going to jump into a presentation first to show you what they look like. Marilyn, when we get done, she's going to jump into 21 Online and show you how to access these through your productivity hub. So kind of seamless connection, if you will, through your 21 Online account. All right, so as you're in here and you have start building presentations, it will show you the listing presentations, your buyer presentations. You can filter by presentation types, but we're going to jump into a presentation right now, and we're going to go into this Stone Hollow Drive, and we'll show you a listing presentation as it starts. So where it says brokerage, your company, DBA logo, Century 21 Classic, Century 21 ABC Realty, whatever it might be, will be in your tab. I'm working in a test environment today. So under that first image is the subject property. We'll show you how to add those, create a presentation for a client, and then move forward. So you'll see here the options. On the bottom right-hand side of my screen, these are navigation options. Now, the cool thing about Moxie, and they were really thinking, and I'm glad we were able to bring this all to you, is a term I learned called gamification. What does that mean? So when you're using a resource, your client is using a resource sent to you like this listing presentation, it helps them interact with you. Maybe not on the phone, maybe, but even no matter what time, day or night, they're looking at your presentation, they get to interact with you through the presentation you created. Okay, so we can scroll up and down pages. Navigation icons in the bottom right-hand side even show you the pages. If I'm the client, I can click through to a page and see that specific page that I want to focus in on. Now that you've made it something exciting and fun for them to use, maybe they share it with some of their peers, some of their sphere that they can share, but this is the view. And as we scroll down, this is what the subject property information is. I'll blow that up just a little bit so you can see it. And as we scroll down, this is the data that you'll input. So they'll be able to see what their home looks like. And next page, they can see what their home looks like in comparison, i.e. comps, to their property that they're attempting to sell. You notice on each of these, it gives you a description of the property, the status of the property. The client can click through to it and see more about it. We're going to pop back out of this. They'll see it on the map, and that's the next option, is that they'll be able to see it on a map. So now you've given them different ways to interact with your presentation to make it fun, engaging, connected to you, coming back, referring you to other people because this is so cool. You're going to choose your comps, and as you click on any of them, notice that it highlights that specific comp. And they can jump in and look at it. And now when you're having conversations with them, because this is a live environment, did you know that when you put comp properties in here, and maybe one of them is in an active status, and tomorrow they look at your presentation that goes under contract, it's going to automatically become a pending status. That was one thing that really captured my attention about these Moxie Present presentations, is the dynamic connection between your MLS and your presentation to provide value to your clients. And so there's another way for them to see the comps broken down by actives, by solds, by pendings. Notice some of these icons as we're up here and looking at the presentation. Your client, remember I said interactive, they get to connect well with this presentation using those options. Just drop down this page just a little bit so you can kind of see it better. But all kinds of options in here. Home averages. It will give you averages of not only the sold, but the active as well. Maybe I want to filter out all of the actives and I want to see the solds and the averages for the solds, or I want to see just the actives. Lots of help, lots of ways for those folks to see the data. It'll show you some charts, some graphs, comparables, and so forth. And then it will give you an estimated price. And we'll go into one of those in just a second. But it gives you the selling price, potential selling price. This is a net proceeds sheet. You can build up to 3. Why would you do that? Because maybe the first time that you're meeting with them, you don't know the actual first mortgage payoff. And you don't have to know the exact number, of course. But maybe when they tell you, well, we think we owe about XYZ. Do you have a second mortgage? Yes or no? And then you can start adding the additional potential costs of selling their home, including your fees and compensation for your work. You can also add additional costs that Moxie hadn't envisioned because maybe you've got some unique things in your office, your company, or your local marketplace. As we scroll down, option 2, we can have up to 3 net proceeds sheet. Why would that happen like that? Because in this next example, not only does Moxie give you a recommended price based on the data that you selected from comparable properties, but you can also show them a range. Now, the original range that was offered, and I'll blow this up just a little bit so you can see it. It says down here, 401,250 was the average price of the sold comp properties. But Moxie says, do you want to give them a range? You can choose a range of any percentage above and below. Maybe you choose 3% above and below, and it will say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, Ms. Seller, Mr. Seller, whatever, then it will show you this is the approximate range for selling your house, 3% above, 3% below. One of the ways you could potentially do that is if you're creating those net sheets, you could sit with them and say, what would happen? What would your net proceeds be if the house sold at the low end? And what would it be at the high end? Okay, so does a really nice job. You don't have to do a thing. Now, one of the things that I did recently was I did a presentation for a team in Washington. And so you can add your own additional pages. You can upload your own pages, and then your profile will be in here. And your profile comes over from Dash. So let's go back into our presentation builder and create a new one. 3 types, or actually multiple types in here, but focusing on Maryland, somebody's in there. Mute the microphone, if you would, please. All right, we're gonna do a seller presentation. The other one we're gonna focus on today is the buyer tour. So let's go on the seller presentation and continue. All of you will have, and because I'm in a test environment, I don't have this view for you, but it says any templates that you've saved, any templates that your brokerage has saved, and you will also have Century 21 presentations as an option in here. Because what our smart digital marketing team did was they sent all of our listing presentations over to Moxie so that you'll have those, options that were available to you in Toolkit CMA. Most of them will be moved over and are in Moxie Present today, including the Spanish language version. All right, now I'm just going to use the default seller presentation. You will all have this. This is the simplest version, although your brokerage may create a different option for you, up to you. But I like this default seller version. And when I click on this drop down here, guys, these were all the pages that I went through on that presentation that we just did, except for that one extra one that I added. Cover page, the listing overview. So all of these options are in here for you. You don't have to do anything except follow the prompts. Okay, so I'm going to come in here, click on continue. And it's going to be for our group today. If I can spell. And then the presentation will be built off your MLS. If you're a member of more than one MLS, it will give you the choice. We're connected to the Temple, Texas MLS, so we're going to use that. We've got a classic version I showed you, a luxury version. Anytime you see these pop-ups, the eye inside a bubble, it'll tell you what's going on there. But we're going to use the classic version. I'm going to click on create. My screen will get a little spinner show up in just a second, and you'll know that it's working. There it is. And now we drop into the builder. All right. What are you going to do? When you do have a listing presentation that you're going to do you have the subject property data? Well, you probably have done some research, but for our purposes today, I'm going to go get a listing from century21.com in Temple, Texas, and so I can show you how this process works. My screen's blown up really big there. I'm going to find some listings. And I'm going to find one of the listings here. We'll just drop into this one. And we'll open it up. We'll come down and we will find the MLS ID. Come back to my presentation builder. One of the things that Moxie did, which I think was forward thinking, is maybe this was a listing that was expired, but that data is still in the MLS. And if you put the MLS ID and number in here and click copy, you'll see a blue banner run across here. It's churning. It's finding all the data about this listing, and notice that it dropped it in here, including the subject property picture. Again, if it's not in the MLS, you're building it from the beginning, please consider getting a picture of that subject property. Take a quick drive-by, take a picture, and you can upload the new image in here so it will really look sharp and professional. And once you put in the address, it will automatically Google map this, because when we build this presentation, remember it's a web-based version, everything will harmonize around that subject property. Keep that gold star in mind so you can add the information. Square footage is important. Square footage is important because if you can find that data and add it in here, there's some averages the system builds to help you come up with pricing based on per square foot. Okay, we're going to come down here, add additional data. You're going to put in the remarks. This was pulled over from the MLS, so I didn't have to do it, but you'll put that in there. You'll click continue. What happens next? My screen's going to refresh. It will give me comps nearby. Remember, the subject property is this little gold star. Now that does not look like a lot of listings to choose from, but that may be appropriate for this property. I can do other things. I can click on this little radius, and from the subject property, I take my mouse and click on it and pull this circle out. And so when it click on run search, and then it will come up with additional properties. I can drag it farther out if I want and expand my map and show more properties. And I'm just going to clear and redraw my radius map. And I'm going to click run my search because I'm creating a new search. I went out 7 miles and now it brings up 16 listings. There's also a drawing tool. I'm going to clear and click on the drawing tool. There's 2 options, quick draw and a multi-draw. Multi-draw gives you the ability to draw more than one map around the property. We're going to use this quick draw. And I'm just going to click here and I'm just going to draw. My drawing is not very good today. I got a B+ in drawing in kindergarten. But we're just going to draw this little map around here. You can draw it wherever you want. And then it brings a new filter. And now it brings 16 listings. I can also do a map for schools. And it gives you the options for public and private schools or both. If I don't like this map, I can click on clear and start over. But I'm happy with this map. I can also filter by price range, bedrooms and bathrooms to give me more accurate, closer to the comp or the subject property. Another cool feature in here is that you can look for property types. Not only do I want single family residence, but I want to see some townhouses to see if townhouses might be appropriate for my client. Maybe not, maybe they're a first time buyer and they have some flexibility. I have other filtering options along the side here. And you can choose any of those. So quick, easy way for you to create some filters to get it harmonized down to the place where it's going to be of value to you and your client when you're making a decision. Click on apply. If you ever see a button that says apply, click on it, like whack-a-mole, right? You see it, you click it. All right, now more filter options. It may seem a little daunting in the beginning, but what we're trying to do is just give you some ideas of what's in here. I would love for you to go play with these things, but guess what? We have some other filters. Show me all the statuses by their actual status. In this case, from active to sold, Or if I click on it, show me all the solds first. Okay, so it lets you choose the status. All right, and so it flips it around. And again, you've got these other options, the distance and so forth. Let's just choose the statuses today. All right, as we scroll down, I'm trying to make my screen a little bit bigger and a little smaller just so you can see. Sometimes through Zoom, it doesn't always come through as clearly as we want. But as we scroll through here, we can see all of our options. We could narrow again our options by price, bedroom, bathroom, and so forth. But look what happens over here on the right-hand side. When you click on any of these options, my subject property is here, and I click on one of these properties, it will come up and give me a description of what that property is. And I look at it, and I scroll through it, and I can see the information about the property. It looks like something that might be appropriate. And if I want to add this one, there's a little plus sign at the bottom that says include this listing. And I did that very simply. It pops up over here, and it says that's one I chose. I can close this here. And instead of doing that, I also have the ability to look through each of these listings. I can select it. I can also view the deeper dive details about this listing to see if it really is an appropriate comp for my property. All the remarks, all the options, bedrooms, bathrooms, does it got a pool, does it have a sunroom, does it have all kinds of options? Nah, that one doesn't work for me. I can click here, uncheck it. I don't want that. It's not going to match up for me. And now I can go look for others. For our purposes today, I'm just going to assume that some of these are in the neighborhood, i.e. the comparables. So I can give a sample for you on how this works. Okay, I'm going to choose some actives. And notice this one on the bottom, the gold star. Okay, so we're going to take that one. That's actually our subject property. So we're going to skip that one. It's already there. All right, I've chosen the properties. I click on continue and it takes me to the display order. How do I want these ordered for my client? I've chosen 1 active, 3 pendings, and 3 solds. I can change the presentation status order. And I can say I want all the solds after the actives, and I can save them. I can also reorder by these options as well. And now we're into this view. As the properties I've chosen are across here, the averages, high, low, and the average price, the active, sold, and pending. Now the client, potential client, is starting to see some of the data about the comps so that when you're speaking with them, how did you come up with your pricing? They can start to absorb. Instead of saying, well, I flipped a coin and I said today it's going to be 401 and tomorrow it's going to be 402. They can see how you came up with your decisions. I love that. It's really powerful. And so when I come into my listings, it says last sold, the sold on the dates, the pendings, and so forth. And then I'm just going to change my, I'm going to leave these statuses the way they are for now. Really, really important section here. You can see the details. You can also click on add adjustments. Why would you do that? Maybe this house has a pool. Well, that up so you can see it better. And your house doesn't. Maybe that adds an additional $10,000 of value. And if you want to click on add, notice it says what the adjustment is. And I click on confirm, and it's going to refresh here in just a second. It just refreshed, and now what happens? The sold price is $465, but the adjusted price is actually, compared to my property, $475.
Okay.
So it helps the system Guys, mute your mics if you would, thanks. And then you'll see the options are available to you. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we've gone through, we've chosen our comps. If you want to make price adjustments, you can do that. Now, I had a meeting with an agent in Georgia today. Sherry, thank you so much. We were talking about these adjustments. She said, I'm not really sure what that adjustment might be, but I do know that this property has a pool and I want that, call that out to the seller. So I said, well, if you don't know what that adjustment might be, just put a 0 in there, click on add, click on confirm. And then when you're talking to the seller, you'll have a nice reminder that it's, you've made an adjustment. You just don't know what that will likely be. Okay. If this is not enough listings, or if you find a listing in here that you want to drop out, a pending, a sold, if you want to drop out, just click this box. You can click on add more listings. It takes you back to your search page. Pretty simple. It just takes a little bit of practice, but you've been doing it already in your MLS. It's just a little bit different way for you to present these. All right, so all the things that I did, my adjustments, my comps that I chose, the system, fortunately for my brain, it came out and decided that the estimated market value of this home is $377,333. It gives me the price based on average sales, average price of sold comps right here, price based on the square foot of the comparable properties, and then the price based on the square footage. So notice it's a slightly different, and the seller will be able to see that too. I love this part, and this is just me, of course, but when I click on create a range, it said the original estimated target price was $377,333. And I'm going to say, I would like to give the seller kind of a band of price. And when I click on 3%, notice what happens. It automatically calculates 3% below and 3% above. I don't want the pennies to show up in there. That's not a good look, I don't think. But that's me. And then when I click on apply, it refreshes and it shows me on the screen the estimated market value in a range. If you don't like that range, you can clear the range, come back. I can adjust the range and so forth. I like it. I'm going to keep it. I can add remarks if I want. But something that's hiding on this page, it's easily hidden, but you're going to show, I'm going to show you where it is right now under this estimated net proceeds. This is where you find the estimated net proceeds. I mentioned a little bit earlier, I'll mention it again, you can have up to 3 of these. So when you're sitting with the seller, you could come through and do this. Let's just say that from our estimated net, let's come back to our estimated pricing. What was it? 366. So if we go to the estimated sale price and the mortgage payoff, we don't know if the seller will be able to tell us, but let's just say it's at 265. They might have some equity. They might have a second. Okay. Your listing charge from your office. Don't know what it is. I'm going to guess in here. Maybe you have a flat fee that you offer the buyer's agent. Maybe you co-op, split 50-50. In Denver, where I live, it's 60-40. So whatever it is, you can put the percentages in here. I click in this box. Guess what? It's going to fill it in for you. Any escrow fees. Title insurance. The seller pays it, the agent or the buyer pays it, who knows. Your annual property tax. And then the transfer fees. We don't have a transfer fee, but some states do. City and county tax. Maybe you have that needs to be allowed for in your proceeds. Any repairs, any HOA fees, any closing costs, additional closing costs that you might have that aren't calculated here. You can also add your own. just because we have another fee. You have a service fee of some kind. I don't know what that might be, but if you have a service fee and we can say maybe that's $250. All right, now you click on add, and if you want to add additional ones, okay? So you can add, you can use the fees in here, and guess what? When we click on save, it's going to save it up here, and we'll come up to the top, and you'll see that this one, my net proceeds, I'm bump it up a little bit because that's a little small to see, but my estimated net is $50,960. You sit with the seller and say, okay, what happens if we get our best case scenario? So when I click on copy, it bumps it up here, and I can come back through this whole thing, and I can say, what if our seller price is actually $375? Maybe we did really well with marketing. Maybe there's a lot of desire for this property. And then when I come down here into the fees, anything that's a percentage will be calculated automatically. You see this, the seller agent and the buyer agent fees changed. The transfer fee, tax, anything that was a percentage, remember, changes. And I can save it. And as I click on save, it comes back up here, gives me my two options and the net proceeds. All right, now it says, which one do you want to show to the seller in the presentation? So I'm going to click on, let's see, actually, I'm going to show both of them. I'm going to click on continue. We're done, we're done, we're done, we're done. But if you want, you can preview this, which of course we would. I can also come in here and preview each of my pages. And those are going to refresh, and so I can see. What if I want to go back and edit? I can click on this pencil to edit. And we're going to come back here in a second. I can also add pages. Your brokerage can add new pages. If you've got, your company has PDF pages that you want to add, create a new page, you can actually upload your own pages. Maybe you have a testimonial page that you want to add. It will come as a PDF. So cool options for you to add. The other thing that you can do is once you're done, you can save this as a template. Why would you do that? Because if you added pages, and you didn't want to come back every time and add the same pages, when you save it as a template, that will be available for you in your templates. What do we do next? What do we do next? Well, we're going to preview it. We'll click on view. We've got a print view and a web view. I'll reinforce the thing that I love about this is that it's a dynamic, connected to your MLS. So if one of these properties that is an active property today and pending tomorrow, it will update the client view when they look at it tomorrow. It'll be different than what they look at today. You can also show a print view. Let's look at the web view. Guys, take a look at the bottom right-hand side of my screen for just a second, because it says you're going to have to scroll down. And when it scrolls down, it's going to come up here and show the title of the presentation. And it's going to say, go full screen. Remember the gamification. How do they have fun with the presentation instead of being some static kind of thing? It allows them to go through. Your beautiful picture, your contact information will all be available. The subject property and the picture that you drove by and took of the property will be here. It just amps up the view of what you're doing for them. On the right-hand side at the bottom, you'll see these icons. Clicking on that little stack of paper allows the client to jump back and forth between pages. Once they've been through it for the first time, they might want to come back and jump through some of the pages or jump to the ones that are most important to them. Arrow down takes them to the next page. Subject property with the picture you took, the data that you captured about that property, anything that comes down here, including excuse me, price adjustments will show up in one of the upcoming views. They can click through properties. When they click on any of these, let's click on this 350, highlights it here. The client can jump in and look at it, see how it compares to their home. All right. They get to see at the deeper details about this property. FYI, some of the navigation icons up here at the top, they can page through and look at properties. They get to interact. I'm going to close this button, click on that X, it takes me back to this page. You get the picture. It'll take me to another view and it says, show me the actives, then the solds, then the pendings. Another icon over here, this little arrow, I click on it, shows me more data about days on market, adjusted price. Drop down again, and it will give me another way to see these properties. You do not have to use all of these pages. Start getting comfortable with going through them. Another way to interact. Show me just the solds. Show me only the solds and the averages. Show me the actives only. So lots of things to click on. The gamification. A little graph that you can go through. Choose it, don't choose it, but this is the net proceeds sheet. The first option, if it's sold, the list price is $366. And then if I come and go to the list price of $375, that's my net proceeds. Really, really professional. It really amps up your own personal brand when you're able to use something so high quality like this. So this is the approximate market value, the range that I made as my choice. I can scroll down and how it was chosen based on average solds and then the price per square foot. Notice that that price is just a tad bit different. As I come down again, it's going to highlight you. So again, let's go back out of here. We're going to go into our Moxie Present. And how do we get it to somebody? We can click on send it. And now it's going to come up and say, do I want to send it as a live document, a web-based version? I can send a PDF. I'm going to send it to my friend Mick Jagger. And it's going to come up because he's the client. And it's not pulling up Mick yet from my database. So we'll look at Keith. I know Keith's in here. Just when you want everything to work perfectly, it tries to make them make it crazy. So I'm just going to come down here and scroll down so you can see the additional from the send, from the client's name. And then we come down here. There we go. It should bring up the options. For the client, you can add a subject. You can add a greeting in here that if you want an additional message. And then when you're done, of course, you're going to come down to the option where you're going to click on send. Okay, set presentation email. All right, for the sake of time today, I would love to get into the buyer presentation too. Please come in, play with this. Okay, Marilyn, remind me at the end, Glenn asked for a video, so. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the home page. And in this home page, I'm gonna preview the buyer tour. Thinking about interactive, how cool is this? Because as we come down, I'm gonna say, show me only the buyer tours. Buyer tour is different than the buyer presentation because the tour literally builds a tour for you. All right, so I'm going to come into this buyer tour that I created. This is the client view. I click on scroll down to start the presentation. And then my picture will be in here, your picture will be in here, the title of the presentation. Remember this full screen option? Clicking on the arrows will drop me down. And now the part that I really wanted to focus on is that when you find properties that you want the client to meet you at, follow you once you're there. And the reason I chose this one in particular is you notice that it says VA hospital. What if you have a client that needs to live close to their work? The platform gives them the ability to to show them properties within a range, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I know a lot of first responders, and they're required to be in the distance, a time distance of their hospital. Okay. So it will show a map based on the properties. I click on this Carnation Lane, it pops up. This, guys, is mobile capable. What does that mean? When your client gets this and they're following you around and going to properties, and you get to 2209 Carnation Lane, they can calculate the drive time, but they can also add a review while they're in their car. After they've looked at the property, they can add a review and say, oh, this really is very close to what I want. There's a couple of things missing. I can say, I wish it had another bedroom, or I wish it was a little closer to work, or whatever it is. Maybe it's a 5-star property that says home run. You'll be able to see these comments. They'll click on save. While they're mobile, they can do these. All right, drive time. All right, shows them some drive time things we'll talk about in a second, but remember the gamification? Click on this X, it drops it down, and I can do the same thing for these other properties. I'm going to page down again, and you'll see the other options that are in here, the comparable information and so forth. Really valuable. You can add pages if you want, but what I'd like to do is get and teach you how to do this. So I'm going to come back to my builder, and I'm going to create a new, and I'm going to create, remember, buyer tour. Buyer tour. Come down, click on continue. I'm going to use the basic template. I like this one because all of these things are built by Moxie, and they connect and interact with your multiple listing service. You don't have to do anything unless you want to make some price adjustments. It's all done for you. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to click on continue. Presented for choose your primary MLS. Now, if you want them to add notes and ratings, it's the default is turned on, but you can turn it off, whatever your preference, or you choose on the classic, you can choose the luxury version. It will start building the template for this tour. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go find some properties. Notice this one says options, and it's got 9 pages. All right, drive time is an optional thing. Maybe, and again, this is Temple, Texas, so I want to be close to Baylor Scott. I can't type today to save my life. Baylor Scott White Medical Center. Click here on the map. I can see that. Yep, that's where I want to be. I'm going to come back and I'm actually going to get the address, whether from the map or from here. Come back to my template and say, I want to put in this address. Now, I've already done this a few times, so the addresses are already there. And I'm going to say Temple, Texas. Zip code's here. I believe that's the zip code. Set my location. And you see it hovers over again, Baylor Scott. I can add a property image if I want. I can add my own image. When I click on continue, I can even add an image of the hospital for fun. It's going to refresh, come back up here, and it's going to start bringing me up some properties. I'm going to put this in here just because I'm part of the headquarters team. Sometimes it pulls up New Jersey. All right, so these are all the listings. What do I want to do? I want to help my clients find a home that's 300,000 up to a maximum of 375. I know that might be a too broad of a range, but we get some options. Apply, click the apply, click apply, bedrooms and bathrooms. Minimum, they may be really wanting at least 3 bedrooms. You could offer them 2. And then you could number, let's just say 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, minimum. Click on apply, apply, apply. Hopefully I can remind you to click apply. Any filters, single bedroom, I want condo and townhouses as options. Other options in here are, guess what? Are there any open houses coming up this weekend? Other options in here, I'm going to click on, scroll down to see what square footage requirements they have. Click on apply. It's going to filter all these things out. I like the distance for our work today, but there's other options in here. I am going to say in here that with drive time, I can choose what time of day I need to leave. Isn't that cool? I need to be there. I want to leave at 7:15 and I want to have 45 minutes, find listings, and it will come up and find some listings for us. Okay. I can use a map to draw all kinds of options. I'm going to just choose all of these. I'm not going to choose the sold, but I'm going to choose the active properties. I will come down to the bottom and click on continue. And it's going to come up and say, what is the order of this tour? Now that looks not too bad, depending on where you want to start and finish. So maybe we start here, go to 2, wrap back around and finish at 3. You can change the order, folks, if you want. Change the order, come up here and say, I want to move this one to here, make it number 1, and I can look at my map and say, does that look like something that makes sense? Entirely up to you. I'm going to save this order. And then it's going to refresh and build. When do we want to meet? We want to meet, heck, tomorrow is Saturday. We want to start early. So the seller says we can start at 9 a.m. and I submitted a request through our showing service. So we're going to start there. Okay, makes sense. Quick and easy to do. We're going to click on continue. And by the way, it's got some things that you could tweak on here, and that's how fast it was to build a buyer tour. Let's preview it. The web view. And we're going to scroll down and we'll start using these navigation options. Remember this little pop-up show full screen? And now we can drop down and see the pages that we built. The tour pops right up. This is where we're going to go see the properties if you want to dig in deeper, and the information about those properties, how they match up to the other ones that they've been looking at. Why do you think HGTV, when you're looking at their programs and they have the clients narrow down their top 3, just trying to help them come to their decision? We didn't choose 3 today on purpose. It was just the timing that we had. But they can make some decisions based on the information you gave them, including the ability to save their favorites, show their favorites. Okay, so that was the buyer tour. Close this one out, come back into here. We can also see the web or the print view. It's generating a PDF. You can share that with the client. We showed you that just a little bit ago when we looked at the send option. So the PDF version, the print version, is a static version. The web version is dynamic in a sense that what that means is that when properties change status from active to pending to sold, the presentation itself automatically updates. But another really nice print version, if you choose, maybe you have clients that you want to give a print version to as well. I'm going to come back to my presentation. Okay, so let's go back to our home page. We'll check the chat. See what
We have a couple of questions, Colin.
okay.
So one is, can you pull comps? Well, you can pull comps by MLS number, but can you input, use more than one MLS number at a time?
I'm not quite sure I understand the question, Marilyn. Does that make sense to you?
Well, yes, if you can pull and you can look for the comparables instead of using the mapping function, you can just enter the MLS number. Can you enter more than one MLS number at a time?
And do you have an answer to that? Because it's still sticking in my brain. I'm sorry.
I have what I think, but we might have to get back.
Okay.
I don't know. I think I know the answer, but I'd rather not say just in case. So what about, can you input 2 drive time locations?
Okay, I think.
You want to go back and check that out?
So input 2 drive time locations.
For a couple, let's say.
I see what you're saying. I don't believe so, but we'll have to check that out.
Okay.
I have not found that functionality. Can you edit the buyer tour on the fly? The tour editing is done through your dashboard here. I have not attempted to do it mobile, but Marilyn, let's try that.
Okay.
The drive time is included, Megan. It is not an extra cost, subscription, whatever we want to call it. It comes as part of Moxie Works, which is, free to you. So there is one thing that comes to my mind. Actually, two things that come to mind when we're thinking about Moxie Works that have a charge. When you're in Moxie Engage, there's a texting feature, an auto dialer feature through something called WAVB Wave that has a charge. And then there's another thing in Moxie Engage, not Engage, excuse me, but there's a Moxie Promote. And that's a social media promotion vendor. And they do have a charge, but everything else that I can think of off the top of my head comes as part of the system.
And Maggie's asking if you can schedule your buyer's tour here instead of using showing time or instead of in showing time.
No, it's a functionality of the presentation, not the MLS. It doesn't speak back to the MLS.
So Rhonda answered the question, which is kind of what I thought the answer was. If you have multiple MLS numbers, you just separate them by commas and that should find them.
Okay, now that's starting to sync up in my brain. Thank you. Okay, let's just drop in doing the presentation.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Great minds, thank you. All right. So we're going to start with this one just to build the subject property. And then we're going to come into the next page where we're searching. And if I understand, searching by MLS ID number. So I'm going to find another comp in here. Let's just look at this one. Here, drop this in. Quite sure what that's doing to me. And we'll go down and look at another one. We'll hit search and Rockstar Rhonda. Thank you, thank you. Rhonda, thank you so much. Janice, we did the buyer presentation. We just included the buyer tour. But we can jump in there. We have a couple minutes. So let's go back. All right, so we're going to create new. We're going to do the buyer presentation. We'll do the same default template. Click on continue. Click on create. And it does its little spin. And we'll come around and we'll do, let's just drop in, put this in here. We'll import the listing. And we can keep going through here. We can also do, in the remarks, we can adjust the remark. Oh, actually, we cannot adjust the remarks. We'll click on continue. And then we can choose some options. It's just the same as the other presentations in a sense that you're just choosing some options. Says estimated pricing based on the average sales, the square footage, so the estimated price. I can also create a range as we did before. We're going to leave that. Actually, we could do that. And let's just say 3 up and 3 down. And as you come up here, it's going to say this is what the, it was 129, but the range is 125 to 132, almost 133. Some options in here. And then the buyer presentation right here. So we can, let's do a quick view. Web view. All right, Janice, we're going to get this presentation started. I'm going to wait for the full page view to pop up. There we go, full screen view, and then we'll just roll through it. So there's a specific property you're looking at. Bedrooms, bathroom, square footage, information, schools, living area, flooring, heating and air, building style. We'll come down, we'll see some other properties that we used as comparables for this one. You'll choose those from your search. We'll scroll down and we'll see those other properties at a deeper dive. Side-by-side comparisons. Averages gives them more information. Price and size. And then the range that you offer to them. And then your title in here. So we're going to come back in here. We're going to close, get back into this. Remember that you can remove some pages. If there are pages in here, maybe price and size aren't appropriate to what you're looking for, you can delete those. And you can also go back and do your edits from there. All right. So I saw some notes. Everybody wants a recording. Because you registered for the class today, thank you so much. We will send the recording. I'm going to turn it back to Marilyn. Would you share your screen real quick and show them how to get into the Moxie Works from 21 Online?
Certainly. All right. Okay, I hate to ask this question, but can you see the appropriate screen?
Yep, thank you.
All right, okay. So really easy to be able to get to the Moxie Works platform. Click on the hamburger menu, the top right corner of your main dashboard on 21online.com. Scroll down and go to the Productivity Hub. This should be your very best friend. This is where we house most of our marketing tools. Not everything is there, but most are, and the most popular tools or the most heavily used tools are in the Productivity Hub, and they are organized by alphabet. So all you have to do is scroll down to the M's. Now, I will say that an easier way to get to this is once you access, you see the star in the right corner. If you click on it and you turn it to gold, it will add it to your favorites bar. So all you would have to do on your main page in 21online.com would click on this favorites bar, and you could jump right to any of those links that you have favorited. So that's really the easiest way. But when you're first accessing, you'll go to the Productivity Hub, and it really does not matter which tile you click on. If you have not launched yet, you will go to a landing page and you will be prompted to learn more about the specific tool. If you have launched Moxie, then you'll have access to move farther, take one more step. So I'm just going to click on Moxie Engage just to show you. And of course, if you wanted to learn more about any specific of the tools under the Moxie Works umbrella, this is where you would learn. You would just come down and kind of see what's on this landing page. But you see there is an Access Moxie Engage. Now, the reason it doesn't matter which tile you click on, because all of them lead to the same dashboard. So this will be your main profile dashboard for the Moxie Works platform. And you've got a little bit of information about you. And if there's anything that is incorrect and there is no way for you to change it, if it's grayed out, if you will, then talk to your admin and they can change it in Dash. There are some things you can change, but others that remain static that come over from Dash. Then you just click on whatever tool you are looking to access, and you go straight into Present. So really simple. Menu button, Productivity Hub, any one of the Moxie tiles, and it gets you here. Then you'll see, just takes a couple of seconds for all of those options to show up in the bar on the top, and then you click on the tool that you'd like to access and you are home free. So really easy.
Thank you, Marilyn.
You're welcome.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. We'll send out the recording ASAP after it is available from Zoom. And thanks so much for being on today, everybody.
Thanks. Have a good day and a great weekend.
Right. Take care. You're welcome, Mona. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Angela. Thank you, Gary. You're welcome.